that some people don't mind a little bit of work or a lot of work, and some people are like, I'm not doing anything, I'm just ready to move right on in. And so what I tell people is, hey, take care of the things that's obviously cosmetic that you can see right off the bat. That could be a deal killer, right? Nobody wants to see where an old leak used to happen, because that's just an eyesore. If you're selling your home this year, here's a list of some repairs you need to avoid so you don't waste your time. Let's get right into it. Number one, painting more than a specific area. Now, as a seller, you can do whatever you want to do, okay? But again, representing a lot of buyers, there are certain expectations that buyers do have, okay? And don't get me wrong, who wouldn't want a fresh paint job, right? But if you're not in a financial position where you can paint the entire inside of the home or the entire exterior of the home or whatever you wanted to do, then you may not need to actually do it. You may just need to just focus on one particular area. See, when you live in a home, people expect the home to look similar to us, again, that you're actually living in it, okay? They may expect a couple scratches here, a couple nicks there. We're not talking about obviously gashes in the wall, holes in the wall. You got to take care of those, right? But if the house may not necessarily need an entire paint job, because getting an entire interior painted, that could be upwards of $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 plus, depending on square footage and who you're hiring and what colors you're using and things of that sort. So again, things that get most definitely expensive, which leads us to number two, expensive repairs in general, okay? Now you may say to yourself, okay, no, I need to replace the roof. And by the way, there's some things that you do have to disclose. So just because you're not making the repairs, you're still disclosing that, hey, I know the roof does leak, right? But I'm open to fixing it, okay? What matters to you may not matter to the buyer. And I've seen so many times how sellers would essentially say, hey, this matters to me. I'm going to go ahead and take care of all these things in order to sell this home. I met one seller one time and he had this long list, like 30 items of things he wanted to do, which is perfectly fine. But he wasn't in the best financial position to go ahead and get all those things done within a reasonable amount of time to put it on the market, at least to line up with his goals of moving in a certain time frame. So I said, okay, let's do this. Let's go and reduce this list down. I gave him my advice and I said, let's just go ahead and take care of these 5 to 6 items. And then obviously, some of these things the buyer may or may not ask for, because again, everyone is different. See, think about it. If there's a buyer that's buying a home, but dad or uncle is a contractor, they may see a house differently, because they'll walk in like, oh, my dad can take care of that. Oh, my uncle can add that to the house. So that's how they're approaching it. But then if you have, let's say, a single mom looking at homes, she's like, oh no, I need something that's moving and ready. I'm not trying to do anything. And I'm not trying to stereotype. I'm just giving different types of scenarios that some people don't mind a little bit of work or a lot of work. And some people are like, I'm not doing anything, I'm just ready to move right on in. And so what I tell people is, hey, take care of the things that's obviously cosmetic that you can see right off the bat. That could be a deal killer, right? Nobody wants to see where an old leak used to happen, because that's just an eyesore. So you most definitely want to go ahead and get that taken care of. But anyway, what ended up happening with him, he took care of those 5 to 6 repairs and of course reduced that list from 30 to 5 to 6 repairs. Then he ended up, we went under contract and the buyer only asked for about 4 or 5 more repairs, okay? So again, to go from, what was that? I think it was like 6 plus 5. So there was around about 11 or 12, repairs that was actually needed versus going the entire 30. That I saved him thousands of dollars, because there were things that bothered him. There were things that bother sellers that may not bother the buyer. So again, everybody's trying everybody. The buyer's trying to see what they can get away with. The seller's trying to see what they can get away with. And we're not trying to hide things. We're just saying, hey, you may not need to do this expensive repair because it may not matter to the buyer. You may know in your head, hey, I wouldn't buy this house because I know that there's 3 years left on the roof. But again, the inspector may say, hey, the roof is fine, there's 3 years left. So there's a lot of different ways that you can look at that. But again, you most definitely want to avoid any expensive repairs. Have a conversation with a licensed real estate agent so they can break down to you what they would suggest that you take care of. And last but not least, this kind of falls into the same place, is making too many repairs, okay? Like I said, the gentleman that said, hey, you know what? I got about a list of 30 things I want to do, and the price point was obviously going to slow some things down. You don't want to waste your time doing all these things, because again, that can get costly. Then depending on where you live, depending on what needs to be done, a lot of times you have to get permits And so you and your friend, you and your buddy may not be able to do those types of repairs. You may have to actually get someone that's licensed, bonded, insured, and then they have to register with the village or township that you live in. And that's another additional added cost. And if you haven't done your post-sale inspection or pre-sale inspection, essentially, that's where the village or the township takes a look at the property and they make a list of those items. Okay. So again, it's a waste of time, a waste of money. If you say, you know what, I'm going to come up with this list just on my own, talk to a real estate agent, find out if you need to have a pre-sale inspection with the village or township that you live in. That way you have a list of things that you know you have to do. There's nothing worse than doing all this work. It's like having a car and you do all this stuff to the car and then you say, oh, well, now the car is worth X number, but value is value. And so now you're mad because you're not getting paid a certain amount because certain type of tires that are on the vehicle. There's a certain type of brakes that you did to the vehicle. And I'm not saying don't disclose things or skip things out or obviously be cheap. It's more so saying, hey, I plan on doing these things. You don't have to tell anybody these things. You can tell your agent, say, listen, I plan on doing these things if needed, but if I don't have to do it and I can save time, I can save money, and I can close sooner, then I'll most definitely go ahead and do that. That's another thing, is that you'll be surprised. Some buyers just simply want certain things. Some buyers, like I said, they may have that uncle, that aunt, that mom or dad that says, hey, listen, we can take care of this repair. We can do this on a weekend or something like that. They may just want a seller credit, right? Because let's be honest, if it's something that you're doing or something that you're going to pay to do, now what ends up happening if there's something that you did, they don't like how you did it, and now you have to pay to get it redone. It's just easier to just throw money at the situation by giving it to the actual buyer, let them go ahead and move forward with it. Or in some cases, some buyers just want a warranty. So you may find yourself saying, oh, I need to make $3,000 worth of repairs, $5,000 worth of repairs, but let me go ahead and see if they're open to a home warranty. That's $300, $500, $750, and that'll save you so much time and headache. Okay. So of course, if you like this video, you're most definitely going to love the next one, and I'll see you there.